Do you think that it's possible to raise children in a gender-neutral way? What does gender-neutral parenting look like?
Honestly, me personally, I wouldn't do it. I feel if I had a daughter, I would want her to explore her womanism and, play with Barbie dolls, do all that good stuff. But from a different standpoint, I'd say I'm a very liberal person and I believe in individualism. If you choose to raise your children that way, then that's wonderful. I see both sides of the coin. I see that it's a positive thing because they won't get sucked into stereotypes. They won't get sucked into what the media preserves a woman to be or a boy to be. I think it's wonderful. It gives the child a chance to explore themselves and figure out who they are instead of influence of anything negative or media or anything like that. But either way, I think either way you want to raise your children, as long as you don't get them into killing people or anything like that, I think it's fine.
I don't know if it is technically possible because as much as parents would like to think that they can control every aspect of their children's development, I really think even at an early age, boys and girls start identifying with their peer groups just based on physical appearances. You know what I mean? Girls wear dresses and boys wear pants. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's not the way that it has to be, but I do feel like society kind of trains you to divide yourself, to identify yourself.
I think gender neutral parents there's no actual specific image that they have, as long as they're financially stable and they love each other and they can raise their child. I don't think it really matters how they look like.
Honestly, I think each gender is going to have its own particular ways just because societal norms dictate what we're raised by, and that's naturally going to be passed on to the children. If we try to break down those cultural barriers, it's going to take a while, but I do think it is possible. It just takes a lot of effort to not try to impose gender norms on the children.
No, I don't feel like you could do gender neutral parenting. It's there's a social construct in which children are raised in home life, in school. They're going to learn about these different gender norms in which that they're supposed to fall in. And I'm not sure exactly what the parenting would look like. No idea what that would look like, actually. Yeah. So.
I think that as parents, you should support your kids in everything that they do. I think that you shouldn't force your children in a way that they don't want to be. I think that you should treat them as equals and respect them and listen to them. And yeah.
I feel like it is possible to raise children in a neutral gender way.
I kind of think it's not possible. I think we raise our kids in a culture first and foremost, so unless you keep your kids in a bubble, they'll interact with friends and the culture at large. So, I don't think it's possible.
I believe it's possible, but I honestly have no idea what that would look like. So, that's about it.
I think it's possible to raise somebody in a gender-neutral way. I think in this society it's a very difficult thing to do with the pressures that are put upon us to make a decision early in life to be treated act like a boy or act like a girl. What can be done or what's the way that it can be done is just if a little boy is interested in dressing up to be a princess or play with dolls, let them. And be supportive of them regardless of how the other kids are reacting to that, or vice versa. If the little girl wants to play soldier, let her and do that, and don't judge her or him for the choices that they make.
Gender neutral, not push pink upon them if they're a girl, or not. Yeah, I think it is possible. And what a gender neutral parenting looks like, he said. I think if you don't push upon don't paint their room pink, don't paint their room blue, let them decide as a kid what toys do you want to play with, and I think it's more about choice instead of actions, I guess.
I definitely believe it's possible to raise children in a gender neutral way. It would take it would be very difficult to raise children in a society where things are divided into boys' bathrooms, girls' bathrooms. So I think by the time it's starting in public school, it'll be more difficult. But far as like clothes and things like that. I mean, especially like picking, you know, unisex clothing or colors, or just like maybe keeping hair short, like that would be it. But it's definitely possible. It would be a challenge, you know, today. But maybe as time goes on, people can like make more effort to, I don't know, take away the genderized things like bathrooms, or just dividing children up all together, men's haircuts versus women's haircuts, anything really, I guess.
I definitely think it's possible, but it would require the parents to recognize what gender they fall under and willing to abolish everything that they understand about it, and just, I guess, commit to this absolute moral component of parenting, which is looking out for your kid essentially, just making sure that they're open-minded and understanding of who they are, and even what gender is to them, what gender they may fall under.
I think it would have to do with the environment and community that the child was raised in. I think it would be possible for a parent raising a child in isolation to have to raise it gender neutrally, but if it's being raised along with children that are referred to as he or she, that are being applied gender roles, typical gender portrayals, then I think the child would have questions pretty early on.
Okay, so question. I think that yes, I'm going to start by saying that yes, it is possible to raise children in a gender-neutral way. I think that obviously you're going to run into, you know, roadblocks institutionally, blah 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 blah, because we live in this kind of gendered society. I mean, but the idea is that, I mean, what's the underlying question here is really, really what necessarily constitutes gender is really, I guess, what the fundamental question you're asking. And for many people, I mean, the idea is that, so I don't know, we're raised in this society, blah 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 blah. There's already a set sort of standard for the way that we act, in the sense that gender dictates sex, and we may even need to question what exactly sex is. I mean, I think that the rigidity of sex has made for the quandary that we have right now about, you know, how do we interpret gender in our modern society and all that, things like that.
Well, I mean, I think it is possible, but like the outcomes, you know, you never know what it could be. You know, your child might grow up like not knowing what he's supposed. If he's a boy, he might not know. He might grow up not knowing what he's supposed to like. Whereas if she's a girl, she might not grow up knowing what she's supposed to like. So it's like I guess it's like a confusing way, because that doesn't really like exist, I guess. But I mean, it would be interesting to see like what would happen if that were to, if you were to raise your kids like that.
I do think it's possible to raise your child in a gender-neutral fashion. It's basically just not focusing on, you know, this is only appropriate for boys, this is only appropriate for girls. You know, boys are allowed to like pink, you know, girls are allowed to play with toys and connector erector sets and things like that. I think that's actually one of the better ways to raise your child, because then they don't grow up insecure if they do inside really enjoy those things, or feel that there's something wrong with that if they do.